That's quite a leap I went through. Well, I'm back. That's better. Well, hello, my dear watchers. Today, I'm gonna do something very, very different. I am gonna review something that is not vampire related. I'm not kidding. Today's movie I'm going to review for you today, believe it or not, it's from Disney. And like I said before, there are no vampires in it. And why am I reviewing it? I'll let you know after this review. So, the movie I'm going to review for you today is none other than Wreck-It Ralph. I'm gonna wreck it! That's the only impression I got is Wreck-It Ralph. I'm gonna wreck it! And Fix-It Felix Jr. is, I can fix it! Bing, bing, bing! Unlike that one Disney movie called Toy Story, this one is about what if video game characters are alive. It all started in this old arcade called Litwick's Arcade Room, owned by a man named Mr. Litwick, voiced by Ed O'Neill. You know him from Married with Children and Modern Family. So let's rock. And the guy who does the voice of Wreck-It Ralph here, his name is John C. Reilly. You know him. He was in Talladega Nights, the one who kept saying, shake and bake. And was also in Guardians of the Galaxy as one of the Nova Corps. And Fix-It Felix. And Fix-It Felix is voiced by Jack McBrayer. That's his name. Jack McBrayer. You know him from 30 Rock. He played the personal assistant to Alec Baldwin. And the little girl in this movie, her name is Vanellope, voiced by the lovely Sarah Silverman. Sadly, multi-voice reviewer's grandmother hates Sarah Silverman because of her filthy mouth. But to multi-voice reviewer, he thinks she's hot because she's funny. That kind of explains why he stays up all night watching Fran Drescher. To multi-voice reviewer, funny women is his turn on. Now, Wreck-It Ralph, he's a video game villain. But, here's the thing. He hates being the bad guy. Because, you know, being a video game villain, you be treated like a bad person. And he is sick and tired of being the bad guy. That's why he's in one of those meetings with M. Bison, Bowser, Zangief. Well, there is Kano, but I guess Disney doesn't have the rights for Mortal Kombat, so they call him Cyborg instead, but it's obvious. And of course it has one of the ghosts from Pac-Man. That's right, this movie is full of video game characters. Heck, even Sonic the Hedgehog is in it, along with Dr. Robotnik and Qbert. But I think Disney is an anti-vampire. I think Disney is prejudiced towards vampires, because I hardly know any vampire movies or show involving vampires, except that one Disney movie called My Mother Dated a Vampire, and that kid-friendly Disney animated show about a little vampire girl, but I haven't seen it, so... I mean, heck. In Wreck-It Ralph, there's a zombie from House of the Dead. So they accept zombies, but no vampires. Disney, they are a bunch of anti-vampires. Buzzards. Now, one of the video game characters told him he ain't going turbo. You see, there is a backstory. There's a video game character who goes by the name of Turbo. He was a famous race car character in a popular video game called Turbo. Until another racing video game showed up, so he jumped to one game to the next. Caused it a total glitch, so now Turbo and the other racing car was shut off completely. So that's why they're making rules that no video game characters are allowed to go to other video games. Unless it's temporarily. But sadly, the town folks from the game Fix-It Felix Jr., the town folks still treats him like a bad guy. Even this guy who calls himself Gene. So, Wreck-It Ralph, he had enough of being treated like the bad guy. So, he decided to go to a science fiction video game called Hero's Duty. Not that kind of duty. Where he met this girl, who's like a combined mixture of Lara Croft and also Samus Aran. Her name is Sergeant Calhoun, voiced by Jane Lynch. And she's very funny. Perfect choice for her to play a soldier girl. And what Wreck-It Ralph wants from Hero's Duty is a medal of becoming a hero. Heck, I have a medal, but sadly this is my family crest. And it also means I'm a count, but titles don't matter. But it has the Dracula's family crest in it, so that's why I'm wearing this medal. But Wreck-It Ralph, he wants the Medal of Hero, so he feels like a hero. But he accidentally grabbed one of those cyber bugs that are viruses. All they do is eat things and absorb whatever they eat, and they lay eggs. And the only way to destroy them is have a bright light so that zap them off like bugs to a zapper. But sadly, Wreck-It Ralph flew all the way to another video game called Candy Rush. And it's like a Mario Kart version of Candyland. Heck, Candy Rush has so many candy puns it gives my brain cavities. Ugh. Anyway, that's when he meets Vanellope. And she's being outcast because she's a glitch. Oh, and one more thing I got to say. Wreck-It Ralph, when he was on Hero's Duty, he got really scared because how scary the game looked. He said, why does video game these days are so violent and scary? Ha! He thinks Hero's Duty is scary? Sadly, he never been into Silent Hill. That is way scarier than my game, Castlevania. Anyway, it turns out that Candyland is overrun by the Candy King, voiced by Alan Tudyk. You'll know him from that science fiction western called Firefly. Although he does a pretty good impression of Ed Gwynn. You know, the one who did the voice of Alice in Wonderland, the Mad Hatter. A very young birthday to me, to you. Anyway, it turns out that King Candy, he's being the bad guy. Because it turns out spoiler alert, turns out that Candyman was Turbo. He just got into Candy Rush and rewired everything. And of course it turns out that Vanellope is actually the princess of Candy Rush. But now all these cyber bugs are eating up and destroying everything on Candy Rush. So now, Wreck-It Ralph, Sergeant Calhoun, and Fix-It Felix are now trying to save Candy Rush. So, they finally did it. They saved the video game, stopped those cyber bugs. And now, Fix-It Felix fell in love with Sergeant Calhoun, that they both got married. Who'd have thought of a carpenter falling in love with a soldier girl? Can't say I never met a girl who's a soldier, but I always think they're too tough. While Vanellope decided to run Sugar Rush as president and not a princess. While Wreck-It Ralph, on the other hand, he was being respected as a hero. The respect he deserves. So therefore, this is Wreck-It Ralph. A very, very, very good game. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, by the way, I know what you're thinking. Didn't they ever made a video game of Wreck-It Ralph? Well, when the movie was made, Disney themselves made an arcade of Fix-It Felix Jr., a genuine arcade game. But, if you want it in the game console, they made a Wreck-It Ralph video game. It picks up where the movie left off. Wreck-It Ralph on the Nintendo Wii. A Nintendo 3DS. And also, Sugar Rush Speedway. I just couldn't believe it's going to take that long. I think I decided to review Wreck-It Ralph just in time because it turns out, of course I seen the trailers, they made a Wreck-It Ralph 2. Ralph Breaks the Internet. And that is Wreck-It Ralph for you. Now, I know what you're thinking. I am a vampire. I review vampire stuff. But why am I reviewing a movie that is video game based? Well, that's right. This is me. I was quite young back then. You see, I reviewed Wreck-It Ralph because I myself am a video game villain, so I know what Ralph feels like. Honestly, I mean, I've been a villain on this video game, you know, Castlevania, from Nintendo's to Super Nintendo to the Game Boys, from Sega Jet. Why is Bram Stoker Dracula doing here? This is nothing to do with Castlevania. This is just an adaptation to the movie. But on Sega Genesis, and then Nintendo 64, to PlayStation 1, to PlayStation 2. Wait a minute. Why is Van Helsing doing here too? This one's just an adaptation to the Hugh Jackman movie. I know not many people like the movie, but I still like it. Oh, and a little hint. After you kill Marishka in this game, you go to the library and you find a book. It says, here lies a book of family of vampire hunters named Belmont. A little hint on Castlevania in this game. But on PlayStation 2, until I finally got respected and become a hero, in PlayStation 3, the Lords of Shadows. Lords of Shadow 1, Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate, and I became a full-fledged hero on Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, where I go run-on-run with the devil himself. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why don't I appear in Wreck-It Ralph? Well, have you known? Netflix been doing the animated series of Castlevania, and I'm very proud of them. I decided, why mope over me being in a Disney film where I should be in anime? It's a lot better. So, Mr. Death, what do you think, huh?
Hello, Dracula. And that's right. I myself am a video game character. If you don't believe me, here you go. Yep, that's right. That was me. Mr. Death. Well, I was called Death in Castlevania, but I prefer to be called Mr. Death. Although, I do have one problem, you know. One problem indeed. In Lords of Shadow, they made me turn into a villain named Surbek, who's a necromancer. But at least I'm proud that this other video game company called THQ made me a hero in Darksiders 2. And I'm pretty proud of that one, playing one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, helping my brother War. Since I am the Angel of Death, you know, not a typical villain. Although I don't get much complaint because I always show up in tons of video games. Either I'm the hero or the villain. So, I'm just really proud being on Castlevania. Oh, by the way, did Netflix did an anime to have me appear in the animated series of Castlevania? Count?
Well, I don't know, Mr. Death. I should have a talk to Netflix. I should have a talk to Netflix to let them know that they left you out and let you appear in the animated series. If you like.
Oh well, it doesn't matter anyway. I always appear in a lot of media, you know? I mean, I've been in a lot of things anyway. Like Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, well, sort of a cameo in Death Note. But I really hate that one movie, you know, Final Destination. That movie, I'm very insulted with. And that would be the only time I review something negative about that one. But besides that, I'm pretty happy on most of the appearances I made in these movies. Except Frighteners. I mean, come on, a serial killer who disguised himself as me? That's insulting. Anyway, time for me to go. There's a lot of things for me to do. So, see you, Dracula.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Death. I really do appreciate being here. You see, folks, Mr. Death and I, we go right back, ever since Castlevania. Mr. Death and I are like this. Well, any of you who love this Wreck-It Ralph review, please leave a comment down below. Hit like and subscribe. And you know, speaking of video games, I got a video game I'm gonna review for you folks. And, this video game is created by the same people who made House of the Dead. But instead of shooting zombies, you're shooting vampires. So, see you later.